more reasons not to mess with Generation X.
Because we aren't scared of anyone or anything. The only thing we were ever scared of is mistakenly forgetting to take that meat out of the freezer to thaw like your mama told you to. Or answering the phone or the door when you were home alone and your mama told you not to. Also, if we start writing in cursive and driving 6 speeds again, we'll shut down your whole shit. We were the last generation before technology and cell phones. So when you can't get on Wi-Fi, you start freaking out and your whole world comes to an end. Honey, all we got to do is light the beacons and we ride at dawn. When you get a little cold, you run off to the doctor to get your prescription. We'll make us a hotty-toddy, pop 3 ibuprofens and get shit done. We only have patience for small children and the elderly, so if you don't fall in between either of those two, don't test our gangster. We learned to compartmentalize our emotions because if we even cried a little bit, our parents, after whooping our butt and making us cry, would tell us, I'm going to give you something to cry about. Our immune system knows how to survive. We swam through every dirty creek and ditch and pond that you can imagine. We had parties out in the middle of fields barefoot. We rode down the interstate doing 80 miles an hour in the back of the pickup trucks. While your generation depends on a backup camera. We lived outside. We were feral. We grew up in the woods. We know how to survive. We weren't allowed in the house until the street lights come on because that's where the adults lived. You didn't need a cell phone or GPS to find out where your friends were. You just circled the neighborhood and found out where all the bikes were piled up in somebody's yard. We were the generation of mind your business, but we were also raised in the generation of it takes a village. Because you can bet your ass if I was down the street out of eyesight of my mama and I was doing something stupid, she damn sure knew about it before I got home. You can't scare us, you can't trick us, you can't control us, and most of all, you can't punk us and back us into a corner. We see straight through your bullshit. We have a real high pain tolerance because the majority of us have been whooped with anything in sight. I'm talking about extension cords, fly swatters, flip-flops, a 2x4. It don't matter. Anything within hand's reach was getting whopped beside your head. Because we only got out of line about 1 or 2 good times because we learned real quick what that mama look means. Better get your shit together. And if you acted a fool out in public, we weren't concerned about what anybody else thought. Our parents didn't give a shit. They would beat the hell out of us in aisle 3 and dare somebody to try to intervene. You take these kids home with you and see if you ain't whooping their ass by 2 o'clock. So don't come for us. We'll hurt your feelings. We got to go to work every day and we can't day drink. Alright, y'all asked for part 2. Here we go. First of all, shout out to the boomers. Yes, because that's who raised Generation X. And they didn't give a shit. They checked on our ass once a day just to make sure we were still alive because they had bills to pay and sleep to catch up on. See, a couple people maybe got their feelings hurt, but I don't care about your comments, darling, because you can't hurt our feelings. You ever held a flashlight for your daddy? Trauma. We grew up with, you think I got McDonald's money? It's food at the house. Chicken nuggets. You better eat this sloppy joe and be happy. And we only ever heard 2 things from our parents. They are sick and tired. Also, they'd give you something to cry about. We ain't have name brand clothes. We didn't even know what that was. Our shit was called hand-me-downs. Y'all younger generation might want to look that up. We had a couple nice outfits, maybe 1 or 2, but they was way in the back of the closet and you didn't touch them unless it was time to go to church or a funeral, something like that. But then when you put them on, you couldn't take your ass outside and get dirty. You better put some play clothes on for that. And when you heard your mama yell out your whole name, like your whole government name, your heart fell into your stomach. And you just thought your mama whooped your ass. Wait until you heard those words. Just wait till your daddy gets home. And you didn't get to say phrases to your parents like, I can't. Because you know what you would hear? Can't never could. The hell does that mean? And there was no stranger danger. It was a simpler time. You was going to go spend the night with somebody. Your parents didn't have to meet the other parents and do a background check. None of that shit. They just pull up and put your ass out the car and drive off. Pull up at the skating rink, let you out, drive off, give you $5. I'll pick you up later. And if you ever called your mama's job and asked for her and it was on some stupid shit, she was sounding all professional on the phone because her coworkers could hear her. But honey, when you got home, you go find out why you don't call her job. Lord, and if you was out shopping with your mama or you was in a grocery store and she ran into somebody she knew, you might as well get comfortable and take a nap because you're fixing to be there 17 days while they relive their whole life. And they'd be like, I ain't seen you since you was knee-high to a pissant. How little was I? And one of the classics, if you ever said, oh, so-and-so has this or so-and-so doesn't have to do that, your mama undoubtedly would say, well, if so-and-so jumped off a bridge, would you jump too? My mama told me one time when I heard the ice cream truck coming, I was so excited. And she said, oh, no, baby. They only ring the bell like that when they're out of ice cream. Well played. Well played. What's up, TikTok? Coming to you from a whole hot mess ass Saturday. That's what's happening here. Woke up like this, literally. Another installment of Gen X. Please don't play with us. We got zero patience, and our back always hurts. Y'all have ever had to go to school with a jacked up haircut because your mama thought she was a kitchen beautician? Kids these days don't know how lucky they have it. Cartoons all the time, every channel, anytime they want to watch it. That's the only time we got up early was on Saturday morning because didn't nothing matter but that cold bowl of cereal and them Saturday morning cartoons. Now, I grew up in Mississippi and in Memphis, so I'm both country and hood. Any of y'all know about the Candy Lady? If you know, you know. And let me just say, the wind didn't stand a chance because we had suits for that. Whole wind suits, matching. Call us ranch because we was dressing. Also, we wore starter jackets to prove our allegiance to our team. Did your mom ever send you next door, like to Miss Imogene or Miss Marguerite's house to borrow a cup of sugar? Shoulder pads. Shoulder pads, y'all. We show up at the family reunion like a whole team of linebackers out there. And if your bathroom door, behind you didn't have 7 layers of Aquanet hairspray plastered onto it, did you even brush your hair? And was it just me or was anybody else's mama and their friends laid out in the front yard, greased up looking like some rotisserie chickens? They was laying out. Speaking of which, our kids' birthday parties looked a whole lot different. Now they got themes and characters and balloon arches and all this shit. We had that cheap-ass bucket of great value Walmart ice cream. You was lucky if you got the kind that had multiple flavors in it. Okay, fancy pants, bougie. And, those little kid Kool-Aids, and you maybe got a hot dog. That was it. That's what you got. Happy birthday. Here's your gift. She may have threw up some streamers if she was feeling fancy and got paid that week. And did anybody else learn what real drama was because you was at your granny's house and was stuck inside watching her stories with her? But then when it quit raining or whatever and you was able to go outside, she tell you to play pretty? What's play pretty? And if your sibling never chased you through the house with a knife while y'all was home alone, did you even grow up? And for today's rendition, last but not least, one of the grossest things on the planet. Your mom ever lick her finger to clean your face? We all hated it. Couldn't stand it. Had to walk around the whole rest of the day just smelling like lick. Did your mom ever pick you up from school with like 12 cane pole fishing poles hanging out the window of her Lincoln Continental? They were like 42 foot long. Did you have a house phone with a cord that could reach space and back? When your mama was cooking something, if she pulled out that big pot, you was fixing to be eating that for the next 4 days. Did your parents ever whoop your ass and then tell you to fix your face before you went to the store? You constantly heard money don't grow on trees. We never said it did. And you may be Gen X and country if you've ever heard wrench around and wrench it off. Was your grandmother always wearing an apron and shuffled when she walked? Did you learn about the birds and the bees from some X-rated old faded tattoos on your grandpa's arm from the military? Somebody ever rolled your yard and then your grandmother made you go outside with a sack and pick up all that toilet paper and then guess what you was using for the next 2 weeks? Because, same. Did you ever get in trouble for leaving a bunch of rocks or roly-polies in your pocket and they got in your mama's washing machine when she did laundry? Yes. Did you have a pack-a-day habit of like strong Cowboy Killer Marlboros by the time you were like 7? Same. Did you have an older man, maybe your grandpa, maybe your uncle, maybe your stepdaddy, something that was the fixer of things in your family, like small engine repair? He'd just be sitting out up under that shade tree, a cigarette in his mouth, and the ash is about 4 inches long, never fell off, just, digging in his pocket for a lighter, talking about, bring that carburetor down here by 6 o'clock, I'll put it on your car. You You ever had a friend over at your house and y'all wanted to do something, but you wasn't fixing to ask your parents because you knew they'd say no, so you tell your friend, no, you ask them, because if I ask them, they're going to say no. And you were, in fact, not allowed to even be in earshot of grown folks' business. They'll take you out, make another one look just like you. And I think we all developed our crippling anxiety from the fact that if you got in trouble and your mom was busy at the moment, she'd tell you go in there and sit down. She'd be in there in a minute. And you knew an ass whooping was coming. You just had to go sit and wait on it. You ever tried to threaten your parents and said, I'm going to run away? And they started helping you pack? Like, we literally just all lived the same childhood. I think there must have been a council. Like, these parents was meeting up yearly or something to just compare notes to make sure that they was beating your ass just enough. Y'all know why Gen X looks so young? Much younger than our years? It's because our parents knocked us into next week so many times that we're missing years off of our life. You ever had a whooping so bad you couldn't even cry? Like your mouth was open, but no sound was coming out? How many of y'all actually wished in one hand and then shit in the other to see which one filled up faster? Because we were told to do that a lot. Anybody else feel like it was the pinnacle to childhood success when your mom posted your macaroni artwork on the refrigerator? Like you was Picasso or some shit? And I think maybe the reason that they kept your baby hair and your baby teeth that fell out is they was probably going to need DNA to identify you when they finally found out where the hell you was at. Because they didn't know. You ever think you was going to sleep in on the weekend and your mama came busting through that door at like 7:30 on a Saturday with the vacuum cleaner? Everybody's getting up. Everybody's cleaning. And if you didn't have aluminum foil wrapped around half the electronics in your house so that they would work properly, I don't know if we can relate. Did you have to smack the side of your TV to get a good signal? Did everyone else's parents walk to school like 12 miles uphill both ways? And did you also forget to turn your light off so many times that your mama actually took the light bulb out of your room? Or was my mom just savage? Because everything you do mess around make that electricity bill run sky high. Stop slamming that damn door. Make my electricity bill run sky high. Did your parents tell you that there was, in fact, monsters under your bed? So that you stopped getting your little ass up after they told you to go to sleep? Dramatic. Did you sleep with a box fan in your window during the summertime? Because even though they had air conditioner, they weren't about to turn that shit on. That costs money. Did you spend your summer nights as a small child running around in the yard catching lightning bugs and then ripping half of their body off and smearing their guts on your arm? It's disgusting now, but... Did you have furniture in your house that you, in fact, could not even sit on and use as furniture? Why did you buy it? Anybody else rock some of those knockoff name brand tennis shoes to school? Like they were some Nikes or something, you know? And your mom tried to play them up real big. They just like those other ones. Bless it. Was anybody else tough as nails in school because your daddy, in fact, told you that if you get in a fight, you better win. Because if you don't, when you get home, I'm whooping your ass. Because, same. And if you didn't have like 17 cousins at your house sleeping on pallets all the way across the living room floor, did you even live? More Gen X shenanigans. Is anybody else to this day still scared of white vans because that was the kidnap van? We had zero safety restrictions. We didn't even have car seats. I remember seeing my baby siblings just laying in the seat, the passenger seat, my mama driving. And then we'd ride in the back of the car up on that little shelf where the rear view window's at. Y'all remember those plastic Halloween costumes we used to wear with the face mask that would make you hyperventilate because you couldn't breathe and you damn sure couldn't see? Here's one the younger generation ain't probably going to understand. Tight rolled pants. You tight roll your pants. Stonewashed. Y'all go look that up. And you may have been the epitome of cool as a small child if you had a shirt that was either puff paint with your name on it, or you was fancy and had gone to the fair and got one of them airbrush shirts with the tropical scene that had your name written on it. Boom boxes. Younger generation, we used to have what we called boom boxes, and the bigger the better, honey. We carry that sucker on our shoulder wherever we went. It was like carrying a school bus. I think the scariest sound I've ever heard is the crack of that belt. You know, when they fold it over and do the snap. How many of y'all's parents told you, do as I say and not as I do? What? Am I the only one that tried to continuously convince my younger siblings that they, in fact, were adopted? We didn't have to play the floor is lava game, because for us it really was. How many of y'all got scars on the bottom of y'all's feet from stepping on that floor heater at your mama's house? Because I do. And if you didn't drag every chair and blanket and pillow in existence in your house and build a fort throughout the whole living room that you thought once inside nobody could see you, did you even have a childhood, darling? I think a big problem with the younger generation these days is they don't know about the kids' table. You ain't sit around grown folks. Go sit at the kids' table. Especially if you got in trouble. And how come when your grandmother or mama or something like that gave you $1 or a little bit of money, she did it like it was a drug deal? Be like, put that in your pocket, baby. Do kids even have piggy banks anymore? And undoubtedly, some woman in your life, in your neighborhood, something, probably within your own household, sold either Avon or Tupperware. All them little tiny lipsticks everywhere. Probably full of lead. I can still smell them. And last but not least, undoubtedly, kids today call it side-eye, but I guarantee you, every Gen Xer listening to this heard this one. Cut them eyes at me one more time. Cut them eyes at me. As I'm slowly creeping along in traffic, I had a quick question only Gen Xers will understand. Any of y'all ever had like your whole chest and throat dislocated by the Mama Reflex 3000? For those of you younger ones that do not understand, I'll demonstrate. Quick slam on the brakes. It is ingrained in you, because now, as a mother and grandmother myself, with nobody in the car with me, if I slam on my brakes, I threw my whole right shoulder out trying to demonstrate for y'all. Shit, gotta get home and take some ibuprofen. Anyway, back to your regular scheduled program. What's up, y'all? It's Saturday, Gen X time. Y'all realize that we never got any warning, like leading up to it? We just always ended up on our parents' last nerve. Y'all miss waterbeds? Or is it just me that like sleeping on something that felt like you was driving a Buick 80 miles an hour down the highway? Anybody else's parents have that cookie jar that was shaped like a goose? Like it was white, usually had a blue ribbon around it. Zero cookies inside, ever. Leads me to my next point. That cookie tin, like at your mama's house, didn't have no cookies. It was just sewing stuff in there. The deception. When's the last time y'all saw a payphone? Like, did they just go extinct like the dinosaurs? You was lucky if you remembered somebody's phone number. Otherwise, you ain't calling. And if you didn't have no money, you called collect right quick. And I don't know how much money everybody owed him, but Paul needed to get paid. Why did we have to rob Peter? What did he do? Anybody else miss that old wholesome TV? Used to teach you like life lessons. Reading Rainbow. Do y'all remember there was just unsupervised cigarette machines in random places? And once you got fancy enough to have a VCR, am I the only one that would go down to the like local mom and pop store into that little back corner shelf and rent those dusty ass VHSs like Rambo and shit? Seen every movie in there 47 times. And what about the playgrounds that we had? It was just all metal. I mean, they was like some medieval torturing devices. They would just be like an 82-foot tall metal structure on the playground. No safety, none but gravel and concrete on the bottom. Go ahead, climb up it, kid. Okay, that's y'all's Gen X for today. A little smidge, because I got to get ready for work. Y'all be good. Make me pick a switch. Hey folks, I am back from my out-of-town trip to North Carolina for work, so time for your regular scheduled programming. Gen X! I wonder what would happen if we asked this younger generation, where's the beef? Raise your hand if you at one point grew up in a house that the entire inside was nothing but like wood paneling. Y'all remember trying to navigate through the Morse code that was TV guides, trying to figure out what show was coming on when? Is it just me, or did y'all kill a whole bunch of sea monkeys too? Did y'all eat a packed lunch out of a plastic lunchbox that made everything inside of it taste like a plastic lunchbox? And I gotta say, one of the things I really love nowadays is being able to pause TV. I remember we'd be sitting on the edge of the couch waiting. As soon as that second that the commercial came on, it was a 5-yard dash to the bathroom to use it as quickly as you could to get back to that sofa before it came back on. And did y'all have an entire collection, A to Z, of encyclopedias that was just collecting dust on a bookshelf that nobody ever looked at? Or you was a bad kid and was just looking up bad words in the encyclopedia to see what it said? Because, same. And these fact checkers, y'all, on the interwebs. Technically, if you're a Gen X, you did not grow up on Tupac and Biggie. I did not come out of the womb listening to Tupac and Biggie. That was later on in our life. See, you didn't get the sentiment. That's your fault, not mine. We didn't have fact checking, and we damn sure didn't have the internet. We had what was called the Yellow Pages, which usually only acted like a booster seat for a small child at the kitchen table. We rarely found a phone number in there that we was, to call. We just used it for other stuff. It was just part of the house, like it was like a piece of furniture. When I say Gen X, I know they're like, it has to be this year, between this year. Shut up. If you was a latchkey kid, you get it, okay? I'm not going to sit up here and define this year and that year. Shouldn't you be in line for like a loaded tea or something besides worried about what I'm saying on my TikTok? Bless your heart. And lastly, I just wanted to say thank y'all. We family now. I just started doing TikTok about 2 months ago, as a lot of y'all have probably seen, when we lost our mom to cancer in February. Just to be funny and, try to work through some things through humor because I'm a goofball. Well, I truly, truly appreciate the follows and the likes, and especially the comments, to learn that, in fact, we have way more in common with each other than you probably thought. We all grew up the exact same way. Traumatized. Oh, thank God we've reached the age a long time ago where we can buy alcohol. It's Friday, y'all. Time for Gen X. We were the first ones to play video games. Y'all remember Atari? Everybody's so worried about being politically correct these days and offending people. Y'all remember our toy? Garbage Pail Kids. Y'all remember that? Offended. If you Gen X, just walk outside right now in a public area and scream Thundercats. Do it right now. And seeing as how I'm older now, I just have one question. Did y'all only have blue eyeshadow? Is that all we had? Was just blue eyeshadow, no other colors? Just blue? Y'all remember them jelly shoes that in the hot summer would kind of melt to your feet? I hated those. Because once you put them some bitches on, you wasn't getting them off. They was suction to your feet. And our bikes were like torture devices. How many y'all got scars on your shins from those metal grate pedals? You ever got hit in the shin with one of them things? Death. Y'all ever been accused of being tender-headed? Because when your mama brushed your hair, she in fact brushed your hair, your ear, your neck, and your brain and skull at the same time. And classic. Now that I'm a parent, I understand this one, but when I was a child, I was like, the fuck? When you'd get a whooping, and your parents would say, this hurts me more than it hurts you. How? I can't even sit down. I think there's literal smoke coming from my behind. And can we clarify one question, who the hell is Cooter Brown? Y'all ever met him? Because that sumbitch been drunk. He must have been full on. Because everything you did was worse than Cooter Brown. How many of y'all would turn into a surgeon when your cassette tape, all the ribbon would come out of it, and you had to sit there with a pen like you was doing open heart surgery and strategically trying to wind it back up and hope it would still work. Because, see, it's Friday. It's my last day of work before vacation, so I ain't about shit today on this job. So, y'all have a good day. Be nice to each other. Don't make me pick a switch.